That's the. Well, here's just the outline. Started. I didn't, that's what I wondered.
I haven't got anything from payroll that was back yet.
Well, I'm going here. Wow. Well, Brian, I'll put 60 Halloween stuff, and I've always some different time period. You ready?
It's a little bit after 9:30, so we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. First item is approval of the agenda.
We'll move to approve. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes October 17th, 2023 board meeting.
Move to approve. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Item number 3 is approving the holiday calendar for 2024. This is just something we do every year. We designate, depending on how it falls in the week, or whether we would take off Christmas Eve or the day after Christmas. It's like in the middle of the week this time, so there really ain't much of an option either way. Don't make a whole lot of a difference. So just a standard observed holidays that we approve every year.
I'll move to approve. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Set date for FY 23-24 budget amendment. And this will be the first budget amendment we do of the year.
And it's gonna be on November 14th.
Need a motion to set that date.
I'll move. Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Gross Compliance Solutions Annual Renewal. This, again, we've been with Croce now for probably 4 or 5 years.
About 7.
7?
Yeah.
Wow, time flies, doesn't it? So
Actually, you and Southeast
behavioral health.
Central Behavioral Health Region were our first 2 clients. Very good.
So this is a renewal, $11,052. It's the same as what it was last year.
Correct.
On that renewal piece. So do you want to kind of go over, as I said, the new supervisors, especially on what Croce provides to the county and why it's important we have?
You all got the handout of our overview, our presentation here.
Okay, so we do exclusively HIPAA compliance. We have about a dozen or more of the counties here in southeast Iowa, although we work with all different kinds of covered entities. And we do your HIPAA compliance, so you don't need to worry about it. So we've been doing this for 15 years with different products, services. What I think the best way to explain what we do is just kind of go over this presentation, explain what we do and how we do it, and how we help the county, and then I'm happy to answer any questions. So we're going to talk about what we call news you can use, which we don't really have any for this presentation. Then we'll talk about cloud-based training. You're required to do HIPAA training to all workforce members of the county, and so we'll go over that. And then we have an audit management program. You're required to have implemented a HIPAA compliance program, which includes conducting annual risk assessments, creating remediation plans, going through remediation, which is something we do for you, so they're with you. We're also required to demonstrate that you are actually operating the way you say you are in your compliance program. And that's what the audit program does. And to make it less onerous on staff at the county, we roll the risk assessment remediation plan, remediation by writing policies and procedures, all into our annual audit. So I'll go over that here in a moment. Then what we do is we attest you for your compliance, so that if anybody asks, you have documentation which will show that you are complying. We also, as part of our quality service program, we indemnify you from any fines or penalties at the federal level for any HIPAA breaches up to $100,000. I'll go over that, and then we'll talk about the renewal. So the on-demand training program, basically we provide you with a link to training reports so you can run them anytime you want to see who is training, who isn't. And that link, if you need it, we can email it to you again. Happy to do that. You go on to the next page, it shows the completion rate of training for the last 3 years. So in 2021, you were at 73%. In 2022, we dropped down to 57%. And 2023, we came back up to 73%, which is good. For our indemnification to be enforced, we require that you have your training completion up at least 80%. So we have a little bit of work to do. If you look on the next page, it breaks down completion rates by department. And you can see we have a couple of departments that are dragging us down a little bit. First one I point out, and this is pretty typical with all of our county clients, is the Board of Supervisors. We're only at 50%, so we need to get you guys up and get your want to get that completion at 80%. Other is that compliance with the training really close to the top down. So historically, we've had great support from the supervisors to get the training done, and we'd like to do that. The next area we need to work on is secondary roads. And for secondary roads with our county clients, what we do is we get everybody into a room for their in-service trainings, and we go through the training with everybody right then and there. And they can all put it up on the computer and go through it, and we get those trainings completed. And then the last one, although we only have one person, is Veteran Affairs. We need to talk to them about getting their training. So all in all, you're in pretty good shape. Just need to do a bit of push to get up to the 80%, and we should be able to do that. We did just launch a new learning management platform. Everybody should have gotten an email noticing that with a new login as of yesterday at 1:30. Steph Lathrop, who manages that part of the program, and everything, is available. If we need to get in touch with her, there are multiple ways for folks to get in touch. The ultra platform, or it's then directed to the so just a little bit, we break the training down into two groups. We call it occasional users and essential users. Essential that we give different training to each for different training. So the essential users are people that work with protected health information or managers, and they get 4 15-minute trainings each year. For the occasional users who don't use protected health information, but may run into it as they walk into someone's office, they see a document. Years ago, we had an issue here where records were strewn out on the street because they came out of a dumpster. And so those folks get shorter trainings once a quarter. So their trainings are 5 to 10 minutes. So we train, we believe in doing as little as possible to get the job done. And so that's why we break the trainings up. And so every quarter you get a new training and you have 90 days to complete it. As we move into the last month, you begin to get nudges to remind you to do the training. So next page, we go into the audit report. The audit report is broken down into security, privacy, and breach. And what we do is we go through all the specifications in the regulations. You have a residual risk and then an overall risk. The residual risk is if we have not remediated that risk. So in the past, we have put in policies and procedures for all the items that need to be done. And we see what needs to be done by running a risk assessment and then create a remediation plan. Risk assessment looks at all the different vulnerabilities are outlined in the regulations and assign the risk with potentially coming to pass and what the impact would be. And that's where we get this residual risk from. You can see in all cases it's low. And then we have an audit protocol where we need to have some information. So we audit where you are in the process, and you can see that under technical safeguards and high-tech specifications, we have some items that we need to review. Those are typically IT-related items, and we need to get some logs review, move those from completed to incomplete and take the risk score from moderate to low. You can also see how we break up the audit into quarterly chunks. So we have a chunk that will be done fourth quarter of 2023. Those are the ones that are still at the moderate level, and then we cycle back again. Do the risk assessment and audit starting in Q3. So in essence, you're in pretty good shape. We only have a couple things that we need to worry about. Training is one because we're below the 80% range. So we will work on those and get you up so that the overall risk score is low. And that means that when you have that inevitable breach that needs to be reported, we can defend you. And our history has been in every instance we'll be able to walk away from a breach investigation without any fines and penalties. That's the goal of what we're trying to achieve. Fines and penalties can be fairly onerous. Today, they start at $50,000 per breach per year, but they can go up to $250,000, and by regulation, they can go up to $1.2 million at the federal level, and then we have the state level. Then, moving on to the next page, we have our attestation materials where we provided you with a certificate of attestation, basically saying that you've been tested, you are compliant with the HIPAA regulations. You also get a letter of that attestation, and those are good for a year. So we do it at the end of the year, and it's good for the next year. So you have a year to make sure you maintain your compliance, and then you have a full version of the audit report. Our current service is HIPAA Select, where we essentially do most everything for you. Your renewal date is November 15th, and the amount is $11,050, which is the same as last year. 2 years ago, right before COVID, we went through a price increase, and so we don't have one this year. We try and not increase our prices more frequently than once every 3 to 4 years. So we're good for this year. Couple of new things that we want to talk to you about. So we have a live chat support tool, which is on our website. So if anybody needs to get a hold of us, it's within the training module. There's a support tool in that, but alternatively, you can go to our website and initiate a live chat and get your questions answered. There's also an icon where you can schedule a time to talk. So that is available on our website. Next thing we have is we have a new cybersecurity training program. We've contracted with KnowBe4 as a cybersecurity training platform. And what it does is we start out running a baseline of all the employees in the county by sending out a white hat phishing email, see who clicks on a malicious link. And so we get a baseline of where everybody is on the quality of their cybersecurity knowledge. Then we move into doing quarterly emails that test their knowledge. If they click on a malicious link, it puts them into some training and notifies us that someone has clicked on a link. Also, the training manager of the county gets a notification, and they then receive training on how to identify that potential attack. You also get periodic security reminders, which is not only part of cybersecurity, but a requirement under the HIPAA regulations. And then we do a quarterly management report on the state of your cybersecurity posture, which is the desktop. And we put together a quote for you on implementing this. We basically charge what it would cost you to go directly to KnowBe4 with a nominal management fee, because we run the whole thing for you, so you don't have to get your employees to run that. And that quote is $48.51 for the year, and so you can consider that moving forward. Want to reiterate our indemnification program. So you have an indemnification agreement, a compliance checklist. So as long as we're working with you and you get your training up to 80%, and IT handles the compliance checklists, it's all IT items, then the indemnification is in force, and we'll cover the first $100,000 of any fines or penalties that may be assessed at the federal level for the breach. We have one other item that didn't make it into this that I want to present to you. We partnered with a new company called VetOps, and they do what's called OIG, which is Office of Inspector General for HHS, Human and Health Resources. I don't do two things at once really well. And for you gentlemen, here's a card if you want to get a hold of me. So under the regulations, anybody who accepts any federal state funds for healthcare purposes, so for county, that would be public health and the VA. And anybody who does any kind of management, has oversight, or is involved in the payment process. So the county, that would include the supervisors, the treasurer, and the auditor, are required to be reviewed periodically to see if they are on an exclusion list. There's 61 databases, including state databases and Social Security's database of dead individuals. And those databases need to be screened. State of the art is monthly to make sure that no one shows up on one of these exclusion lists. And these lists are people who have been adjudicated to haven't been involved in fraud, have licenses that have been expired, all related to healthcare. And if they do show up on an exclusion list, then you have to decide if you want to continue to retain them, or you fire them, or you ask for, you can appeal their being on the list and have it adjudicated through OIG. This goes into the first page is what the service is. On the second page, I included an article that talks about the requirements and why folks like the supervisors are involved in this. And it shows the process we go through. This service, is reasonable, we believe. It's, $1,250 a year. And for that, we do the monthly screenings and we'll investigate anybody that shows up as a false positive or positive. It's a two-step process on the second page of the first sheet. And if you want to then ask the individual who shows up as positive can get an exception, we will work through that process with you. So again, this is pertinent to public health, VA, and then because there are different departments in the county that are involved in oversight, strategic planning, and processing of transactions, that falls in a couple of the departments. So I just wanted to present that to you, something to think about. It's not something for today, but I did want to talk about it as part of what we provide or can provide. And so talked about everything else. So if you have any questions.
On the add-on of the cybersecurity, does our IT, does Paul do some stuff with that now? Because he'll send some phishing emails to our department, so I think we have something like that.
The state
already
actually
in
is
place,
providing
but-
it to the counties who are taking advantage of it. So
Okay.
I can check with Paul
Yeah,
and make sure, but if you are getting phishing emails, I'm gonna probably say, yeah, you're currently using it. The only thing that we would provide is the ability to take it off, Paul's desk to manage it. Sure.
all right, any questions? Anything else?
That's all I have.
We appreciate it. All right, so we need a motion to accept the annual renewal of $11,052.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right,
And then I would suggest we can investigate the other two things.
Yep.
But not act today.
Yep.
I'm gonna go down and see Lynell as soon as I leave here and talk to her about it, so.
Okay.
And then we'll get back in touch and if we want to talk about it. Do that.
perfect. Thank you.
Thank you for your continued support and greatly appreciated.
Number 6, tax suspension under Iowa Code, section 427.8. The tax suspension was done in the past.
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Number 7, tax suspension under Iowa Code 427.8.
I'll make a motion to approve it.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And another tax suspension under 127.8.
Motion to approve it.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Number 9, donation to Eldon Cemetery for flags and poles, the amount of $2,000. We got a letter from Miss Donna Jeffries. They kind of do the row of flags down at the Eldon Cemetery 5 or 6 times a year through Gothic Days, Memorial Day, 4th of July, Flag Day, Veterans Day. And some of those are starting to get a little ragged and torn a little bit. So they're trying to raise money to buy all new flags, poles, sockets, to continue that tradition. Also an enclosed trailer where the poles can be kept in out of the weather and not hauled from one storage place to another throughout the year. It's a $35,000 that they're looking to raise. They've raised $25,000 so far, and they've asked us to consider a $2,000 donation.
I make a motion to approve that.
I'll second.
And we'll probably pay that out of our supervisor contribution line item in our budget. Any further discussion, questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Professional service agreement for Schneider Geo Spattle. Spattle. Spatial.
I have a 30-second recess, so. Where do you want me to, where would you like me to stand?
Right here in the front, fine, yeah.
I need to switch to share my screen. This is host disabled participants screen sharing. No, that'll just share yours. Just click on my name, and they'll put 3 little dots. The options. Try S to start video, see if it works. Oh, it just does my picture. Just all video.
I don't know.
Yeah, oh yeah, there you go. All participants. Up. Yep. You can start, yeah, do that one too, all participants, and then just switch it back. You know, when you see mountains or something.
There.
Hey, we got it. All right. Technology. You hit the super minimize button. No. Left. Or right.
Slash.
Yeah, left.
On this.
Yep. There we go. And then just like click on the black bar. Nope. Yep. And then drag it down to like the right hand corner. Perfect. Got it.
You're asking an awful lot.
Huh?
I said, you're asking an awful
I'm
lot.
doing the best. Okay, really quick, just in case. Your guys' names are easy to remember. Brian, Diane, Grant. Okay, ready to go?
Yep.
All right, well, welcome everyone. Darren asked me to come speak today, briefly. I'm just gonna give a few slides on what we're here for. I gave a talk to Darren and some of the other members of the board, and just about our program called Geo Permits. What it is, in short, is it's a way to apply for permits online. And because you already have the Beacon website, which you should be somewhat familiar with, we actually are able to combine those two products, some of those capabilities together. I always like to kind of start with this slide, just to kind of let that sink in a little bit. I was showing this probably before, so some of these are similar slides that you guys saw before. But the Geo Permit platform can be used for a wide array of items. Obviously, there's going to be some departments that will benefit from this more than others. But the whole, like I said, the whole gist of it is to make it easier for citizens to apply for items online, and then also to make it quicker and more efficient. And then also on the county side, when certain departments need to receive notifications related to workflows and permits, they can receive that through a simple email. So here's just a screenshot of just kind of showing how a person would enter into that program. There's different ways. You would have the hyperlink through the actual planning and zoning or the engineering website, or wherever that permit is normally located. Or you can actually apply through it through the Beacon website itself. So if you're looking at a specific property, there's a button there that just says apply for permit. In Marion County, when they just added that button, they're the ones that came up with it. They said their permits tripled because people are naturally usually looking at Beacon first, looking at property information, doing a little bit of research before they go to apply for a permit. It's very simple to use. You just create an account, email, name, that sort of thing. And that's important too from the contractor point of view as well. As a contractor, I can create my own username and manage all my permits in one spot. That way I'm not calling Jeff every 2 seconds. So I can register for that. I go through the workflow. As you can see, I apologize for the small screen there, or the small screenshot, but it takes you through those different steps, identifying the property and going through there. And as you can see here, I know it's a little grainy, but it could be just my own site. What's nice is you can actually go through that and you can actually save and exit at any time. You don't have to start one and complete it as you're sitting there. That was something that we added a few years ago that really helped out a lot with the workflow. And then also there's the GIS component as well. So it has the map as well. I like showing this specifically because you see there's that Beacon logo. Really what that means is what it does is it speeds up the application process in that it will autofill information from the Beacon website. Your Beacon website pulls from your CAMA and your tax and your mapping, your GIS, and that is updated by us on a nightly basis. So anytime there's a change made in Kelly's office or Gary's office, those items that are in Beacon will also show up in the permitting system right away. And when, sometimes you're dealing with maybe a new build or a new owner, you want to ensure that you have the correct information there. Map sketch, talked a little bit about that. This is just, we're trying to get better and just be more accurate and trying to describe what you're trying to do. This is a little bit cleaner than drawing on a bar napkin, as we've heard before. So I'm not saying Wapello accepts those, but I have heard that before. Talked a little bit about this before, but this has been kind of a sneaky, nice item is the contractor registration. Not only does the contractor sign up, but it's a place for them to upload all their documentation that's required at the county level or at the state level. Insurance, just any kind of information that they need to upload to work in the county. We make it easy for them to upload that information. Online payments.
Using that page, you told
Yes.
the meeting that if we have something come up for bid, we could automatically send emails to.
Yeah, that's a good point. That happens all the time. So now you can even disclaim that as well and just say, if you want to get on the open bid list, or sorry if I'm misspeaking on the terminology, but if you want to get on the bid list, that's one incentive right there to register as a contractor, because then you can just send it out on a mass email of anyone who is already a registered contractor within Wapello County. And if someone says, I never got the email, well, you need to register. Some counties have taken, there's different approaches with that. You can take an aggressive approach, like Marshall County, Indiana, a few years ago. They just said, we're no longer accepting permits unless you register as a contractor on this site as of this date. Others have kind of used it as more of just kind of easing it and kind of more of a hybrid. So it just depends on how you want to do it.
So when you do the bids, will those come back to us then once they register, or we send the email out and then they'll send it back to us
Well,
through this?
in that conversation, it was more of, think of it just like a master Excel list that you can just go, drag and drop and send it an email. In terms of if you want them to apply for something through this, that would have to be a workflow that would have to be built out. But it could be a simple one pager, or it could just be a button that says upload your company resume or your company submission here. And just, click submit. And what's nice about that is it's time stamped, and then it's actually held, in the geo permits program for as long as you desire. It's actually a good idea to submit bids through it.
So then, so you're saying whenever they submit their insurance
Mhm.
stuff, is there a capability of them also like giving us like their W-9 and all the other stuff that we need?
Well, that gets a little tricky. Well, what's on a W-9? I should know that.
Just like their tax ID number, or, their mailing address, where
Yeah,
their payments to and stuff like that.
Yeah, you have the capabilities to allow them to upload photos, documents, mapping files, just any type of format. The only reason why I paused is sometimes I was thinking, I was going down the route of social security numbers, but, if
Well,
that's,
most of them probably just have a tax ID number unless they're just like an individual.
Right.
And they may have their social security number on there as well,
yeah,
so.
I would just, I guess a generic answer, I don't want to hear is, but you have the ability to allow them to upload any files they want to.
And then is this, whenever you say they upload the file,
Mhm.
is that just something that we look at, or can anybody look at it?
You, good question. You can actually control, speak of workflows or contractor access. From an administrative point of view, you can control who can see what. So you probably only want to allow your admin level folks or department heads to be able to maybe access the contractor portion, or at least edit it. Your supervisors, you just want to give them view only rights so they don't break anything. Trying to make a bad joke here. No, but then they feel like they're part of it. So, no, but you can control whatever kind of access rates you want to do. Naturally, you don't want to have too many editors, at the top, and then maybe just you could have a lot of people that are just view only, like office staff. Does that answer? That's a good question, by the way.
Well, I was just thinking if they're gonna upload their insurance stuff that we need, if they could upload like any other documents that we would normally send them, and if we were the only ones that could see them.
Yeah.
Then we would have access to that,
Mhm.
so like if we ever got audited by the IRS again, we would have all of our stuff.
Yep. Well, and that actually brings up another good point too, is that each employee has their own login. So
Okay.
you can because right now, each employee in the county has some type of a role. So that was one thing that we learned with a lot of feedback from customers is to not limit the number of users. So you're forced to use like the department, logins. Each individual has their own username login, and each individual can be managed on what they can see and not see. You can even have it to where if I log in, I don't know, in the assessor's office, and I don't need to worry about anything related to maybe a fireworks permit, I won't even see that as an option when I log in. So this actually kind of goes into that as well, the automated notifications. What I like about this is that you're not having to go into the program, just sit there and hit the refresh button. Everything is linked with your email, so you'll just get a notification. It just says a new permit has been approved, a new permit is waiting for your inspection. So you can have all of that automated, or from an applicant point of view, thank you for applying for X permit. You now have 2 weeks to do, these tasks, while the county looks into, improving it, as an example. Templates. So as you're filling that out, we can actually insert it into templates that have your logo and everything on there. Won't go too much into this, but I have to put the little dashboard up there because that's the cool word saying it. So there's dashboards for everyone, everything from inspections waiting on you to the interactive maps that are showing which ones are approved, denied. And also too, it's nice to see if you have maybe one address that maybe keeps applying for the same permit year over year, and you keep maybe denying them or whatever it might be, you have that history of that property as well. So. And then on the mobile side, I just took these screenshots with my phone. It's just to show it's easy to access with your mobile phone. So think about the scenario of you actually being out there on the actual site, septic or whatever it might be. You can actually click and approve right there with the customer, and then make sure that they get that notification right then and there so they can start digging or whatever. Reporting, any kind of reports that you need, we can create for you. The basis of it is the export is an Excel file, and then we can make something more custom for you or your department, whether it be payments, applications applied for, and so forth. That is it. Any questions? There's the fun slide. That's the one you actually want to see.
Gary, you have all kinds of stuff to go with this, right?
Yeah.
Like training, is it training hours or?
Yeah, so
Hours.
So currently the county has what we call GIS flex hours or project hours. And because of that, you already have some of those hours. Instead of me including flex hours into this agreement, which would probably double the cost of the annual, the annual cost. Gary said that we could use any of those hours as well for this project. So that saves the county a lot of money.
Free training.
Yeah. The assessor's paying for it, take advantage of it.
Jeff, do you have anything to add on it? I'm assuming this is something that your
I've looked
department
into
would
it.
use.
I'm not so certain that on our end, it's gonna save us any time.
Okay.
Are we gonna add more time? In the overall, because we like to have that, it's easier for us to have that connection because there is so many different ways and things that are going on in the county that you can't just throw a few forms at to get it done. I'm not so certain that it's gonna save us any time or anything on that end. On the back end, I do have questions like, say we discontinue the service or whatever, what happens to that data? Because we're still gonna have to do hard copies and file copies. We're still gonna have to print out everything. That's just my take on it. I've heard some people like it, some people, you know, I think we've got a pretty good system, what we've got, yes, but I mean, we're just gonna push,
What we got now,
push our broken ports.
we got a
off
system
onto
now
another
we pay
point,
for
but
that you don't
it's not
use,
really-
right?
Huh?
We have a system now that we pay for that you don't use.
That is correct.
That is correct.
Because it offered similar, they offered the similar same thing and it never really, it didn't really help. It didn't benefit us over the system we currently have.
We gotta go online.
May I say something to that?
Mhm.
It is common for some of the department heads to be a little skeptical of this at first, I'll give you that. But we're now in, I believe 19 counties in Iowa that use this. Contractors love it, especially when the county next to them is already using it. Marion, Mahaska, Warren County already have this. Wright County, the engineer was the one that led the charge and just bought this a week and a half ago. I'm now attending the engineers conference in December in Iowa because there's that much interest around it from the engineer point of view. Wright County solely bought this just because of all the pipeline permits that they have to deal with going across roads.
Jeff, you could keep a dual system going for the short term, correct? Yes.
And I want
That's just where I wanna, I'm not gonna say, hey, this is gonna be great and all sugar cakes. I mean, that's what I went into the other one with and going, it's gonna save us so much time and effort to where it didn't. So I just wanna share my
Right. The other one, though,
skepticism with,
you had no training on the other one, though. They wouldn't help you.
they helped. It was not user friendly at all.
Right.
That was its biggest downfall.
That's
Are we still paying a yearly,
We
yes.
have one more on it.
1 year left?
This would replace that. Yes, essentially, that's what we're being sold, is that it would replace that. They promised me the sky's the limit. I dove into it on, like Marion County's side of things. I filed for a septic permit, I filed for a building permit, I played with it. On the user side, it was interesting. I mean, I'm not gonna say it was straightforward, it's super simplistic. It's gonna, we're not gonna just train ourselves, but we're also gonna have to train the public to use it. because we don't have that around. Like he said, our only neighbor using it is Mahaska County. A lot of our contractors come out of Missouri or Davis County. So
Am I catching this correctly? This would come out of Gary's budget,
Part of it, you know.
like how much?
Would this just be part of the three-way split?
You have 16 hours a month contract.
we don't use it most months.
But this software would help you too, is that correct?
Yes,
Yeah,
a lot of people are already using the software. Applying for homestead and veterans through their website or our website through Beacon. So a lot of it's fills out by itself.
Have you talked to the city about any of this, Darren?
Yeah, the city actually came to the meeting and they have the same system that Jeff has and they don't like it either. And so they are looking, that's part of that 28E agreement down the road.
for the record, I did reach out to them and I had some conversation with them. You guys have just moved faster on the road than they have.
So, you know, with your company, with Beacon and everything, it seems the city may want to get back involved with that. I did get an email here a while back and we're kind of in the process of everything with it, but they are interested in some form or another. Maybe it would be, 25% or whatever it may be, but so the city could actually in the end maybe be interested in partnering with this as well. So depending on what we do, I guess we can open those lines of communication with them, which we'll do it anyway with what we use through Beacon. And
City would become part of.
so what actually, how this came about in 2012 or 13, when we started doing the flyovers with it, the city was part of this project. It was a city and the county. The county broke it out, Gary's office and Jeff's office, the supervisors paid some. Waterworks pays a little bit, right? So the city had some financial troubles here 5, 6, 7 years ago, whatever it was, 5 or 6 years ago. And this was one of the things that they cut. So then they didn't have the access to the resources with it. We have worked with the city through, especially like this fiber and some different things like that. I've gotten called a few times, say the city's requesting this. It's difficult. You want to say, well, they need to pay for it, but at the same time, to start some impeding progress, what do? You just, so we have worked a little bit with them on it, but I think they've seen some of the value in it by not having it where they had it before. And that's where I think they're looking at maybe coming back in the fold on it in some way or another.
Should point out, I did, because the city is not part of this agreement, I did discount the agreement.
Okay.
I didn't want you paying for something
Sure.
that you don't have jurisdiction over.
Kelly, you feel like you can benefit from this yourself? Your
I
office?
think with like some of our vendors, like when we do like bridge projects, if they have their stuff already out there where we can just go out and get things that we need. For like our insurance stuff, like the auditors, will come and ask us, and if they don't send that with their bid, then we have to go out and get it. So if it's something that they can upload on that portion of it, and if, I don't know, maybe it could be set up to where there's a reminder that says, hey, this expires on this day, you need to send us a new one.
I do want to point, this has been used for dog licensing for cities. It's been used for damage. If you have a tornado that comes through, you just need a quick form for citizens to fill something out. It can be used for, it's a wide array of different items. So it doesn't have to be just septic and building permits and driveway permits.
No, and we talked.
Those are obviously the core, items, but
Yeah, we started talking over the nuisance issues, so we could track our nuisances.
that's up to the board if you want to make that available.
We, I think
So we're going to be probably moving towards Park Map Online. Right, Russ? How does this play? Do you keep, like, is there a way for us to go and get a feature that automatically pulls to our maps that would update that you guys would be doing, or on your end, or how would that feature layer, or what does that,
Well, we currently do that now.
you give us, you send us feature layers?
Well, you send us your feature layers.
Like creative.
Yeah. And it's populated on Beacon. And actually within some of those workflows, those permits, you can have zoning layer, floodplain right away. You can have those as layers as Russ is updating those or your team's updating them. So they update nightly as well. So if there's any kind of updates that you make, I'm trying to think of a layer that would move or change zoning. Anytime your zoning layer would update, it would also update within the geo permits program. So when people are getting ready to build, there's certain rules about zoning or something, you can turn on and off those different layers.
Okay, so we would have to go to your website to find that updated.
No, you guys update it, and then we just pull that data on a nightly basis.
Right, but they're filling out this permit and it's going to you. You turn around and send it back down to us.
We can if you'd like us to.
There's, we can pull an updated feature layer.
Yeah, it's so through some of the exports, you can do something as simple as a shape file, which is a type of file, GIS. That would actually be able to pull into ArcGIS. Are you going to talk ArcGIS Online or Pro?
It would not be automatic.
We're gonna eventually have to go to our pro when that happens, but he's wanting to go to our
ArcGIS Online.
online.
Okay. Actually, through a lot of our clients, we use flex hours to help out with clients with going to AGOL. AGOL is nice for asset management when you're out in the field trying to update stuff in terms of assets. This isn't your field, but like, fire hydrants or, those.
No, is this stored locally or do you keep it in the cloud?
What, geo permits?
Yeah.
Geo permits is stored on our servers, it's in the cloud or backup on our servers. So Jeff had made a comment about if you decide to go another direction, say 3 years from now, the data is all yours. We just export it in whatever format you want us to. That data doesn't go away.
At no fee.
No, that's just part of the. Yeah. There'd be zero incentive for us to be difficult with you when we're working with the other 98 counties one way or another.
No, I was just wondering.
No, I'm saying,
Because that's part of our other agreement with another services that we have to pay to get our back. Actually,
We're in a public meeting, so I'm gonna be professional here. I think that is a really, I think that's a wrong idea long term. Why would I piss you off in the short term? I want to keep you as a customer for as long as I'm working.
You did do very good. Good, correct.
Huh? I know.
Very good.
I know, I just said.
That's one of the department heads, I think it's very
well, I think we're going to we're going in that direction of things being online, Lisa with the scanning of a lot of her stuff. And, I don't know what the percentage now of online vehicle tag registrations being done online or people paying property taxes online and, just the different things like that. I mean, it's, we do still have maybe an older population, but, what level are we getting to that this is just the way of the world now. And as we start looking budgetarily at some of this stuff, that it is going to have to be some things that overtake some positions at some point in the future, the way things look. So.
I'd like to add a quick comment to your comment there. There are a lot of options we're starting to see with a lot of clients where it's asking, are you applying on behalf of the homeowner? So are you the contractor or are you the homeowner itself? Because that's the scenario. I'm from Illinois. My grandfather's 93, just did a big tiling project. Do you think he's going online to apply? My brother and I, he wrote the check, of course, But my brother and I applied, for that kind of project. It's just-
Lisa, would you be using this system?
The only thing that I don't think there's anything that we can benefit from because a lot of our forms are provided by the state. We do online payments through another company for off-road vehicles. They can go online and I don't know if that's something.
Recording office,
Which office? Recording.
It's the recorder.
yeah, we had the same exact discussion in Wright County 2 weeks ago. It's just, some forms are just more at the state level, plain and simple. I mean, the easy answer is if you've taught some of your citizens to think that they have to go to Beacon or Geo permits for this, you can just simply put a hyperlink that takes them to the state site.
And the Iowa Department of Human Services is looking at possibly in the future allowing customers to go online to order birth certificates, and it filters through us instead of a company that they use now. But that's a project in the future and it'll go through Gov Access, which is the state thing they have to use, because they have to use certain protocol when a person is applying to verify that that person is who they are.
Yep.
And that they're entitled to that certified copy. So I don't anticipate
It-
being just a need.
Every state's a little different. Sometimes counties will get creative and create pre-forms. Kind of like, I'm interested in applying for a form, and it's just name, email, contact. And that allows the county then just to call that citizen and just say, here's what you need to do. Not the actual form itself, but just I call it pre-form.
Okay, yeah, that's something that you would filter through for like phone calls if people are exploring how to get a marriage license or how to get a
Yep.
birth certificate.
And just put a big text box and say, what would you like to do? And let them type away.
Explore that.
Any other questions, comments?
Last comment is, looking forward to trying to convince Jeff. I really mean, I appreciate,
I'll dive into it and I'll break it. I'll push the limits of the system.
every Iowa engineer I deal with is, I like a little bit of skepticism. I like that. I want to prove to you that it will work. And I don't want you just to be, just because the salesman says so, it's gonna work. I appreciate rule breakers.
Well, it's a pleasure of the board.
Could I ask you, Brian, what your reaction is to all this? Did you?
Well, I'm a pretty tech savvy person by nature, so. I'm like his 90-year-old grandpa probably. But it is, I think it's a direction I think we have to start going on things. I think, again, as I said, budgetarily, I think that's just, we're gonna have to start looking at some of this other stuff and, like with Jeff, I don't know. I'm not in your office every day to see it with it. It's gonna be a change. But I do think more and more counties, we're gonna start seeing more and more counties going this way. I think we're gonna see more contractors, due to time constraints or whatever else, the ability for them to get online. We're gonna have to change the way we do business in certain areas with stuff. We're gonna have to learn a different way to follow up on things. I do think there's areas with the nuisance stuff that, has kind of been talked about that definitely get bogged down. This person, we have a change in leadership here or a different philosophy here, or, this person quits and, that stuff goes away. And again, with that system that we did there a few years ago, that was all supposed to help with this stuff. So I'm skeptical just because of that, because we tried it in a certain format. I hope this is something that works better, working with Beacon and Schneider. I think they're reputable. I think it's something that, we all jump on at different times to see who lives where or what this property looks like or stuff like that. So, I think the professionalism of it's been proven from their company as a whole. I'm looking at it long-term of the course we're at in the world, and this is some things we're gonna have to start doing.
And I'm understanding it correctly that it's the 7,000 annual, 7,932.
Yes, if you look at the agreements on page 3 at the bottom, I tried to prorate it to line it up with fiscal years.
Okay.
So the in year 1 in quotes is January to June 30th.
Which includes the setup, I see.
Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
So is this an add-on to what they already pay for subscription service with Schneider for the use of Beacon, or is this kind of baked into that total?
So this is a completely separate product. Good question, because I did kind of talk about the merging of it. It's a separate product, but because we are already connected to we're already connected to your data through Beacon, we're able to get Beacon to talk to geopermits programming. If you drop Beacon and want to keep geopermits or vice versa, it has no effect on each other. They obviously benefit if they work together, but. Did I answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay.
From a budget standpoint, what budget does this?
Well, we'll pull it out of Gary's, we'll pull
Okay,
a lot of
sure.
ours, pull some out of Jeff, pull whoever we need to pull it from.
Based,
I'd say just based on how
yeah,
we work with Beacon now.
Yeah.
I think it's probably gonna be the easiest way to do it.
based on all that, I'd like to make the motion to proceed.
I'll second that motion.
Any further discussion or questions, comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you for the presentation.
Thank you for the comments. Appreciate it.
Stay on Jeff.
Now he's smiling.
He's always smiling, he's always smirking.
I have
I am looking
Will I be able
forward
to
to reading
leave with the signed copy today?
Yeah, if you stick around.
Okay. I'll definitely stick around.
All right, number 11, 2023 weed commissioner certification form. This just certifies Josh as weed commissioner, correct?
So this is a standard form. State Josh is gonna be our weed commissioner next year. We have to let the state know. And this is the state paperwork for that.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And the 2023 weed commissioner report.
Same form or same report, we have to let the state know by, actually have it signed off by tomorrow. We send it over to them, and this is just what we've done throughout the year. How much chemical, what are we seeing, what kind of chemical we applied, what are we seeing for noxious weeds in our county moving forward.
Make the motion approved.
Second.
Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approval of annual tractor and mower purchase. It's a 2024 case 125, it's Schulte XH 1000. Again, annual tractor mower, that's budgeted item.
Approved.
Second.
Anything else to add, Jeff, or anything with it? You
Nope.
kind of filled us in on it the other day.
This is just FY 20 delivery after July 1st next year.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Number 14, set 3 public hearing dates and readings of proposed assessment of wind energy conversion property ordinance.
This here is just a ordinance to decentralize the taxation of future wind turbines in the county. So that the county will actually get more money from the wind turbines instead of sending all the money to Des Moines. It actually even helps out on the wind turbine companies. They will have to end up paying less taxes also. So it's a win for them, win for us, and I'm happy to take more money away from the state.
Absolutely. Yeah. All right, these three ordinances, in accordance with Iowa Code, section 427B.26, will be at 9:30 a.m. on November 14th, and 28th, and December 12th of this year.
And Jeff, are you publishing?
Yep, I will publish this in full in the newspaper and also, or a summary in the newspaper. For the first three readings, we will post it online on our website. And then after the final reading, we will post it for our,
We have to publish it in whole before it becomes effective.
correct. So it'll, I can't remember when it does, when do you want?
So you have to, so if we're gonna do it on the November 14th meeting, you have to publish it by Saturday.
Yep.
That's the last time you can do it.
Publish it in full with the newspaper.
So it was suggested by, I've just been in contact with some different auditors on how they've done it. And a couple of them had said that their county attorney had suggested that you publish it in whole at the very beginning and list in there when the readings are gonna be.
Okay.
So like on your last page where you have like first reading, second reading, third reading, I think you need to change it to where it says first reading and the date, second reading and the date, third reading and the date.
Okay.
Or the final reading. So that way,
And then it will become effective as soon as the final reading.
as soon as you publish it after we do the final reading. Cause it doesn't like become effective like the day that the board approves it. So if we approve it on Tuesday and you publish it on Thursday, then that will be the effective date that the ordinance becomes in effect.
Okay. I'll make sure I run it by you before what I'm actually gonna send you in.
So I would probably suggest that you change those last,
The last.
that last page for what the readings are gonna be. And I would assume if you send it to the courier today, they could probably publish it on Thursday.
Okay.
Cause I sent them my
Jeff, does
budget
that work?
amendment yesterday and
I
they said they
don't.
had room.
I don't do that part.
Okay.
That's a business office thing. So,
If you just send it like to the Atomic Courier, the legals part,
yeah.
and then they'll tell you.
Easy way to do it.
No later, I mean, you can't, I mean, the latest you can do it is Saturday.
Right.
Otherwise, we'll have to change the hearing dates.
Okay.
Here, you were okay with all of this?
Yes, yes, I read it.
Yeah, I just want to make sure.
Just send it to me.
Yeah. I'll make the motion to set the hearing dates.
Second.
Any further discussion, questions, or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, approval of right-of-way contract for bridge number 124.
This is a bridge down the southwest, or the southwest portion of the county. It's intended to be replaced. This is the agreement for the right of way, the additional right of way we need to construct that bridge.
Need a motion to approve the right-of-way contract.
I'll move to approve the motion.
Second.
Any further discussion or questions? All those in favor? Opposed? Donation to Naval Air Station, the amount of $5,000. Larry Kofer was at our last meeting. He dropped off a letter in our office requesting 13,200. Yes. Good. Does he explain to do some work, or 12,500, excuse me?
Yeah.
To do some work on the second floor. The proposal is to donate $5,000 to the Naval Air Station for that project.
And then when we do that, I also propose that we ask for some financial information back from his organization. Not that that's a condition of the 5,000, but that he gives us some financial information and a little bit of comment on their long-term plan for survivability of the operation. So those two conditions. So based on that, I'll make the motion with the 5,000 and those conditions.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion or questions? All those in favor, and this would come out of, local option tax.
Aye.
Opposed? Number 17, proposal to increase salaries to jail administrator and assistant jail administrator.
If I could address that first, please, thank you. In the past, we've changed employment rates, and when you do that, it's kind of hard to be careful in all that you do. And I feel like in this case, we perhaps should have done some things for these two positions, the jail administrator and the assistant position. And, we just didn't do it at the time. I've talked to Jason Fuller, Don Phillips, and Ruben Neff about this, and I think there's some consensus that this is the right thing to do. My thought would be to raise the jail administrator from, I think it's 62, I'm not quite sure my numbers are quite right here, to 76,000. The assistant from like 58 to 65. And I'm certainly flexible on those numbers if we need to adjust that. I've also did a little research on this, and I looking at it from the standpoint of numbers, our jail was really designed to be over what we need, and now we find it's full of our own residents. You look at the data on how many inmates we should have in our jail at any given time based on our population, we're on the high side of that. I would like to see us work towards reducing that. We have capacity, we're full right now, it's about 110. It seems like 80 inmates would be about right for our population if you do a kind of a historic average for Iowa and beyond Iowa. The goal I think we should have as a county is to reduce the population of the inmates, and therefore we have capacity that we can bring money into the county from other counties that bring inmates here, and that would help us on the budget from a budgeting standpoint. So based on that, I would like to propose that we do the salary increases, but I'm open to discussion on the actual amounts, and we also can move it forward to the next meeting if we need to do some more research.
Whatever idea you have to reduce the population of the jail, I'd love to hear it. Because, that's exactly part of the issue is, here just last week, we're at 122 inmates, second highest we've been, since I've been in the sheriff's office. In December of 2019, we had 125 one morning. I think what the issue is, it runs into the courts and the judicial branch and county attorney's office and defense attorneys is where the problem lies. I mean, you go to some other states and talk to other sheriffs, people, they're astonished that people are sitting here for a year or 2 years in our jail because their system moves quicker. But, if whatever ideas you have, I'd love to hear them. When Brian contacted me about this last week, we talked about it. We've had a conversation about it. I feel like we're at a tipping point in the jail. You guys know as well as I do, we've added several new employees, 14 of the 23 are under 2 years experience, and 9 of those are under 6 months experience. And I want to do what we can to not lose any long-term employees. And I think that's what's going to happen here if something doesn't happen. If you check around the neighboring counties, their jail administrators are up around those numbers that Brian has. I think for 20 years, not at the fault of the three of you, the wages have been kept down. And I know you guys have worked hard to make a difference in that, and I appreciate that. But I think this is something that needs to happen. I guess I've said it all to you, and in the past and here today, and I hope that we can do something here.
And I actually did talk to Ruben about some potential solutions, so I think there is potential to influence that, as you indicate.
Thank you.
With all the deputy raises and all the jailers and all that, how's that gonna affect your budget?
I didn't hear you.
With all the wage increase we already did, how's that gonna affect your budget?
Well, I certainly have to amend because our budget was approved prior to these wages being approved that you guys done, so it's gonna have to be amended.
I don't know how much wages has helped.
You
I know we can agree to disagree on that, but you know, correction officers, we're hiring them every week practically. This we took an off week, which is nice. I've said 100 times, not a job I want to do. What's the number we put on it? You know, and Jason came and talked to us a couple weeks ago with it, and you know, I don't think maybe some other irons in the fire and possible options in his life with different things. I don't know. I guess here's my thing. I don't have a problem raising it. And I'm not even speaking, I'm talking to these guys. What position are we cutting? That's what we're down to. And I sent out me and Kelly went to that educational seminar about the new tax thing. And I sent it out. They had it all on tape. The entire thing was recorded. Not hiding anything. I'm not up here trying to be the smartest guy in the room. I think it's important that everyone has the information. So I sent that out to everybody. Our worst fears, in a sense, are realized. We have caps now. And that's just where we're at. That's my biggest question with it. I'm happy to go to the 76 and 65, but I need to know what's going to be cut, because that's frankly where we're at. If we have $350,000, and Kelly, feel free to jump in and tell me I'm wrong. If we have $350,000 in new money next year, by my calculations and going through, and I have it on my desk over there, I went through every employee and figured their raises for next year. We're just over 300,000. That was before we raised the RN salary to try to get someone public health. I don't think we've done anything since then, or if we've added anybody. I know we haven't added anybody. But if we have 350,000 and over 300,000 of it is taken up in that, how do we buy a squad car? How do we do? It's a rhetorical question. I mean, I think it's important as we go forward, and you know, Kara's trying to get like a little town hall set up with Hans and Sherilyn and Austin Harris. And I told Jason, I said, we need a face to these things, that this is what it affects. It affects our jail. It affects our deputies. You know, as we talk about the counties around us and how they do it, we've said that for years. They're over the 350 levy. Appanoose County, Davis County, which I believe is being ran by the chief deputy anyway, so that's really kind of not a fair comparison, but so many of those counties that's doing it are over that 350 levy. In 5 years, they have to be at the 350 levy. We're probably going to be below 350 this year by state code. It's not even that they capped us. It's the fact that we have to lower the levy. And then that new levy becomes the new cap. I don't know how counties, I hate setting up here, you know, feel like I'm passing the buck or anything else with it. I don't know how counties and cities, for that fact, are going to survive in the next 4 or 5 years. You're never going to convince me that it's not part of the plan to consolidate counties. And if that's the case, I wish they would say that to us so we could start planning it in a different way somehow. So I'm all for the 76 and 65. I'd love to keep, you were in the office, correct? Or is this the new jail
Yeah,
assistant?
she's accepted the assistant jail administrator position, Shaylee Goodman. You're correct, she was in the office and she put in for it and brings 7 years experience back to the jail.
Few months up there with Dawn, and being in the jail ain't so bad, is it? So that's my question, and that's a question for us up here. As much as anything is
Yes.
what gets cut. Cause that's right now where we're at. We used a ton of our carryover balance last year, and I hear department heads say we gave back $100,000 out of our budget last year or this and that. It's not your money. It's not. It goes back into the general fund to give us the ability to make these changes on the fly. You know, we got a couple, budget amendments coming up here in a couple weeks. We're gonna eat into that even more. I hope the state changes something. I hope they realize that this part isn't working. But I urge everyone to go back and find that email that I sent out and sit down and watch that. If you haven't watched it yet, familiarize yourself with it, that I'm not up here spinning a yarn or trying to scare anybody or hiding behind that these are the facts. So again, I'm fine with the raise. We gotta know what position or what half position is gonna go away because of it. And I don't know how you cut a part-time CO in the jail when they're understaffed half the time anyway. We gotta be careful in secondary roads not to fall below the 75%. Otherwise, our state money from road use tax is gone. It's handcuffed to where we're at.
Cause where we could levy $3.50 on general basic. I would almost bet money this year we'll be below that, like 280, 290. You know, we can't even levy at our max because of the new law. Cause if something goes over 102%, you can stay at the 3.5, but if it goes to 103%, then we have to lower. So you look at, we can't raise over 3% on our valuation. Our raises are 5% already. So we're gonna get into our carryover balance, which is what we've always had, healthy carryover balances. And and people would always come to us and say, well, I show that we had $8 million left over at the end of the fiscal year. Okay, we may through all of our funds, but that's what gets us through July to September when we can start collecting taxes again. It's kind of like I try to do is like individual. You have a savings account, hopefully for like emergencies that come up, you can dip into that to pay for things. And that's what we kind of do our carryover balances with. But if we can't levy taxes at the maximum, then we're gonna be, I don't know, it's just gonna be
Here's
interesting.
our savings real quick. So that's I'm for it, but I can't vote on it today until I know what the proposal is of who or what needs cut to make it work.
I would like to go ahead and make a motion anyway today. And then yes, I've heard what you said. I would like to really work with all the departments to help them consider how we can manage our money better in the departments. I think there's a little bit of that opportunity that is out there. So I'd like to make the motion to go with the 76 and 65.
Okay. A motion?
I have a question for Mr. Fuller. You sent out a letter. Does this affect your letter?
I wasn't sure anybody got it. I didn't get any response from anybody, but it very well.
What was the resignation letter? I mean,
On purpose, I didn't respond.
Okay. I was gonna ask, make sure you guys got it. I
Guess he responded by calling me.
It may be something I'll talk to my wife and the sheriff about.
and I do think that makes a difference. As you say, you don't want to lose someone longevity wise, and as you even said yourself that day, that you don't know if 75,000 is even for your mental state and stuff like that with it, that's even it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
And part of the deal is the motion applies to the position, not necessarily.
correct, but I like a person with 13,
Yeah, I
15
do
years
too.
experience. And instead of
I agree.
someone with a year's experience that we're putting in the position at $75,000.
Yeah.
Well, exactly. You couldn't take somebody with a year or 2 years
Right.
experience and put them in there. We'd have to go outside and find somebody and we're not gonna get them for the dollar amount is currently at. But I don't think.
I'm not against it either, but I only had a 5-minute conversation with Mr. Fuller. I'd like to have another one before I vote. Cause I think a lot of it, so,
He's a good guy.
yes, I said, he hasn't, didn't give me the answer I wanted to hear, so I want to talk to him again.
Can't cook. He's a good guy.
Yeah, I was gone when you had your meeting with these two, so I would like to speak to you again.
So do you want a second and vote on it, or do you want to not second it and it fell for lack of a second?
Not vote, not second at this time.
So there is no second. And so the motion will fail due to a lack of second.
That's fine. It's not fine, but it's fine.
Yeah, I agree. We need the money. But I didn't want to talk with Mr. Fuller.
I think there's a lot of years we could have done it. I think there's a lot of years that things could have been done that. Again, I try to be careful not to use that because we've heard that a lot for the last X number of years. And so. All right.
But I would propose we put it on the 2-week agenda.
All right, personnel requests for payroll approval, change of employment, PHN, public health nurse clerk. And this is just taking her from a salary position to an hourly position.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Request for payroll approval, change of employment, public health nurse LPN. This one, I don't know as if any of us completely understand, because it's actually changing the salary and moving it up. Looks like around 12 or 13%, somewhere in that range.
I think we already voted that down
15%?
in one meeting.
Yeah, so I'm not sure, so. I personally would like to table this until we have, I was hoping maybe Linnell would have been on the call today. Till we have an idea of what this actually is.
We need a motion to table.
Need a motion to table.
I'll motion to table based on an idea. We'll do some more digging.
Second.
All those in favor of tabling?
Aye.
Opposed? Request for payroll approval, change of employment, secondary roads maintenance supervisor. This is also just going to a salary to hourly position. Should be approved.
Second.
I have concerns on that, but I'm not sure where that will fit within our budget.
Yep.
You want to table that till you can talk to us?
Well, I think I've sent out emails.
You have, but I mean, this came through
Galloway.
from Galloway on what we need to do handbook wise and everything else with it. Legality and.
But could I ask, Keys? To me, a supervisor can always be paid salary in terms of hourly, so Mike Galloway is saying it's hourly?
It's trying to get all the salaries back to hourly that were optional. So
The supervisor position can be salary.
It can be salary and it can be hourly,
Can be
and it could be changed to to be on the same pay cycle. I have concerns on how this is going to affect that long-term budget where I think that we're going to end up like how your comments previously. I just have questions and I don't know how it's gonna work and I would like to, that's my concerns. Just to voice my concerns, do as you wish.
I have no problem tabling this and. The next one as well, because that's another one going to
Yes.
hourly, right?
But can we make a motion to table
You have to do them separate.
individually? Okay, yeah. So I'll make a motion to table the Dan Terrell request, so we know more.
second.
All All those in favor of tabling?
Aye.
Opposed? Request for payroll approval, change of appointment of secondary roads, roadside manager.
I move to table this until we have clarification.
Is that what you have any trouble with?
No, I'm the same,
That's one.
I have the same questions across the board on it, so
Yeah.
it would affect both of them anyway.
What-
It's not, I'm not picking on one person or the other, I've just got concerns. And I'd like to know how that fits into.
I'd still motion to table.
Second, so it's fine.
All those
Next
in,
meeting?
all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Recorder's renewal for document locator. This is the annual renewal, standard.
I'll move to accept.
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution number 57, 2023, assign and abate taxes on county held tax sale. And with this, what we'll actually be doing is, giving the tax certificate to the Ottumwa Community School District. And it is at, well, I don't have it, don't have a physical address on it. I believe that it's, down in the neighborhood of where they're looking to put the, new tennis courts, I believe, is what I understood. So this is just a tax certificate that we hold, that we would give to this, to the, school district.
For that bottom lot, lower.
I believe it is. Don't hold me to that, but
Make a motion to approve it.
I'll second.
any further discussion or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Other business, treasurer's investment report, September 2023. Just need a motion to accept and file.
Motion made.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Other business come before the board. Hearing none.
They are having,
Yeah, well, we've seen the ordinance, so I just, we had to have some comments about it, we'll address those. But, no, other than that, unless you guys have something for me.
I'm just gonna let you know they're doing where are they doing the meeting?
November 14th at 10 o'clock at Secondary Roads Office in the conference room.
We'll plan on being there.
Anything else? All right, motion to adjourn.
Motion made.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.
We like to.